Hi, I'm Andrew. I teach, learn and coach in the field of modern languages. In this series of videos, we're going to analyse how you can learn any language quickly and efficiently. So, welcome to Communicative English and my classroom, which is actually my kitchen, until I can move to another country. So today I'm going to introduce this channel and myself, but we're going to use a series of short videos about language learning. Then we'll get into some videos about English and Spanish. If you have any suggestions for content, please leave a comment in the comments section below. So, this is a series of self-help videos. It is not a language course to begin with. I'm not going to tell you that you can be fluent in 3 months, conjugate all the verbs in a Romance language within a year, understand Chinese characters within 12 months, or reach an advanced level in record time, according to the advanced level described in the textbooks, or the CEFR anyway. I'm going to describe a personal journey, best practice, and pitfalls that I have found whilst learning, teaching and coaching languages. I'm not going to prefer to be some kind of super guru, aka a snake oil salesman. You can't be fluent in 3 months. You can't reach an advanced level within a year. You can't learn Chinese characters in 12 months. Not all of them anyway. For those who have children, you can see that this is obvious. How long does it take for a child to begin to speak in broken phrases? How long does it take a child to speak fluently? How many, and sometimes hilarious, errors do children make on the path to fluency? How long does a child take to learn to read and write? People often say that children learn a second language quicker than adults do. That may be the case, but the verdict is still out on that research. However, don't let that school of thought put you off your linguistic journey. There are some fundamental differences between the language learning experiences of children and that of adults. The most glaring difference is when you're living in a country where a different language is spoken. Children are often in school where the second language is spoken. This means they have constant exposure and contact with that language. Moreover, this contact and exposure, well, they take place in specific contexts, education and play, and these contexts are really highly relevant to that child's development. Meanwhile, living in a country where a foreign language is spoken, an adult may be working in a context where their mother tongue is used, or they may be at home with little or no contact with the foreign language. So the key elements here are context or setting, contact with and exposure to the language. Additionally, as an adult, you have a trick up your sleeve, which children don't have. You already know how to learn. You already understand there are differences between vocabulary and grammar. You can use the internet to find information. You know how, where, when and why you can apply your knowledge of the foreign, I'm going to call this target language, foreign language, target language. You might just need some coaching. So, in the information age, you've a wealth of information at your fingertips. However, this can easily lead to information overload. You can be studying and trying to remember vocabulary or grammar which is outside your scope of use of your target language. Who needs to know the word slug, except perhaps for gardeners or farmers? Or people who are into sort of guns and things like that, but that's by the by. Yet it appears that this word appears in most European advanced level textbooks. There are countless examples of this kind of vocabulary and indeed grammar being foisted upon language learners. There are words and structures that a person may never hear, let alone use. Speaking of textbooks, globally it's quite common for children to learn a language using these resources in the classroom. This can begin as young as 3 years old and continue all the way up to 18 years of age. 15 years of study to reach an upper intermediate, possibly advanced level? More often than not, with little or no spoken proficiency. These people, yeah, they can cite grammar rules, conjugate verbs, perhaps write reports, essays, listen to recordings of forced, scripted discussions. In general, these students cannot, and indeed do not, listen to the radio or watch films or TV which are aimed at native speakers. They can listen to some podcasts or news items which are aimed at learners of a target language. A lot of people I know can watch Netflix with subtitles on in their own mother tongue. Most of the time this means actually reading a TV show or film. That's to say that after 15 years of language education, most people can't use a language proficiently. So we have a problem, but don't be disheartened by this. This is simply the way our education systems have been designed. The systems are based on the teachings of dead languages, like Latin and ancient Greek. The system focuses on reading, writing and grammar. Speaking isn't really involved. After all, where can you go and ask for directions or a coffee in ancient Greek? The modern classroom, well, there is some attention being paid to speaking, but normally this is in a working in pairs scenario, and it's forced to fit into a given context. However, a classroom can never be a cafe, and if the content's forced, well, it's unrealistic. How many 12-year-olds have experience as a waiter? How many 3-year-olds in hot countries really need a Christmas lesson about snowball fights, Christmas trees, white Christmas, snow and roast turkey? It's outside their life experience by definition and outside of any context they require. Generally, our education systems use few resources to enable students to speak. Exercises are one. These are simply focused practice, generally centered on specific grammar or vocabulary items. They're very controlled and they're not communicative in the slightest. Activities, another favorite. Learners are involved in the expression and interpretation of meaning. This could be discussing something in pairs, and these activities, yeah, they're partially communicative, but they still often involve talking about something which is outside the learner's life experience. Tasks. Task-based learning is seldom used in our modern education systems, but they also involve the expression and interpretation of meaning, but tasks have a purpose. The purpose is not related specifically to language learning. Tasks are used to learn something else which is related to the learner's life experience. Now, these tasks are fully communicative, such as talking about a favourite activity. It's real, it's relevant, and people can identify with it. So, within tasks, people are communicating naturally about something related to their life experience, which by definition is something related to how, why, where, and when they will use the target language. At this point, I'm going to introduce two definitions, two very important definitions. So, number one, the Oxford English Dictionary describes language as a system of communication used by a particular country or community. Second definition, a linguist, Sandra Savignon, gives us a well-held definition of communication, which is the expression, interpretation and negotiation of meaning in a given context. Communication is also purposeful, much like task-based learning. So that's the definition and explanation upon which a lot of my research has been based. Not really so much on a traditional education system method of language learning, which I've already outlined as being fairly inefficient. And I'm not here to critique the way languages are taught in schools. However, if you didn't manage to learn one at school, perhaps now you can see why. I'm here to present a modern, well thought out, tried and tested explanation of how you can learn any language you want to in a quick and efficient manner. By the way, What right do I have to publish these videos? Why should you listen to my ideas? Well, a lot of research has gone into this, and I've been teaching languages and learning them for a long time. Indeed, I studied French at university, so I learned proficiency in that language more or less through the traditional education system. Then, I've also learned Spanish to fluency level through living in Spain for a long time, as did my daughter, who was 2 when we moved there. So I think through research and analysis and experience, I can compare traditional education with learning in context. I can also compare an adult's experience with that of a child. Furthermore, I am actually a language teacher and have a master's degree in applied linguistics and language learning. But in my final project, I contrasted language acquisition with traditional language learning, and there are some really big differences that are really important, which will help you to learn a language quickly. And there are a huge number of studies out there which demonstrate that we can better acquire a language than learn one. So how are we going to go about this? Let's find out. Join me in the next video. Until then, I will say, these videos draw upon years of research and experience. If you'd like to know more, then I'll link to some of my books in the description. If you'd like me to help you with English or Spanish, then I'll link you to my website and Facebook. And to finish off, if you enjoyed the video, please hit like. You can also subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you know when I upload more content. Also, if you really like the video, why not PayPal me or buy me a coffee? The links are in the description. See you next time.